New Balance has really only been making skateboarding shoes for a few years now, but is this another case of a giant corporation just trying to gobble up more of the footwear industry, or is New Balance actually trying to make some good skateboarding shoes? That's what we're going to try to figure out by cutting the shoe in half, run it through our test to really figure out why New Balance took so long to make skateboarding shoes. Are they actually good for skateboarding? And finally, why is this Sam's favorite skateboarding shoe?
In 1906, English immigrant William J. Riley founded the New Balance Arch Support Company in Boston, selling arch supports designed with 3 support points to provide greater balance and comfort in a shoe. He designed it that way after he observed a bunch of chickens in his yard with their 3-pronged feet, and he thought that resulted in perfect balance. We're gonna skip over all of New Balance's history because it's so long that we could do a whole video over it. But the main points are, it started in 1906, really blew up in the 70s and 80s. The 2010s was just kind of like, you know, upward trajectory, getting bigger, becoming like more of a corporate conglomerate. But in 2013, following a tradition of catering to athletic groups, New Balance launched New Balance Numeric. It's their entry into the popular skate shoe market. They didn't make them, it was with a licensing deal instead of making them in-house. So the current New Balance Numeric GM, Sebastian Palmer, said their intention was to partner with authentic people from the skateboard industry. So they worked with people like Westlife CEO Mike West and Black Box Distribution / Zero Skateboards founder Jamie Thomas. But for such a large company, they realized it wasn't the right dynamic. So after the initial launch, the relationship ended pretty quickly and we took a step back. It's weird for a big company to come in through licensing and not just like do their own products. So after the licensing deal kind of fell through, New Balance Numeric had a relaunch in 2015, operating in-house this time instead of using the licensing deal. They worked to get the fit right, kind of be consistent with the product offering across the board, and just gain consumer confidence after the first, mislaunch. But GM Sebastian Palmer said he feels they didn't really get going and hit their stride until 2019. Coincidentally, when the 306, the Jamie Foy shoe, released. So Jamie Foy is an amazing pro skater for Deathwish skateboards. He's known for doing like insane rails. He's got a really good crook, and just be kind of like a likable, relatable dude. He has the nickname Big Boy Foy since he looks a little more stout than most pro skaters who are all built like Mr. Burns. So he won Thrasher Magazine's Skater of the Year in 2018, and he's been on like a rocket trajectory ever since. He also took one of the worst slams I've ever seen in my entire life and walked away from it, so props to him for being alive. So while New Balance doesn't have the same history as other big brands with skating like Nike or Adidas, they are already one of the most popular brands of shoes out there. Like, I am a huge New Balance fan. I am like a New Balance stan. I love them. I've been skating them ever since I really started skating, like 2017, 2018. I've kind of watched the product offering get bigger. Skate shop's walls, it started with just a couple and there's like more and more and more, and now it's like whole sections of the skate shoe offering are New Balance. So they've just been getting bigger. They started like getting more and more like recognizable, notable names on their team. They released their own shoes with people like Thiago Lemos, who's a super good Brazilian skater, Jamie Foy, of course, and the boss himself, just recently, Andrew Reynolds. He once commented on a Rose Anvil Instagram post, and I was like, oh my God, like, Andrew Reynolds commented, and everyone's like, who's Andrew Reynolds? Andrew Reynolds hit us up. I hear you like cutting shoes in half, which is sick. But since I'm such a fan of their shoes, I don't want to give them a pass, as they are like a giant corporation. They're kind of snatching up market share pretty quick from like the homegrown skater-owned companies. Even though they've been doing it a bit more organic than like some of the other companies, they still are corporate. They might be doing it a little more organic way, but like they're still definitely corporate money. So that's kind of like some context, I guess, behind the New Balance Numeric world. We'll pass it off to Weston, the leather daddy.
So now that you know the history, what is this shoe? Well, the brand is New Balance, the Numeric. The style is the Jamie Foy 306. They weigh 15 ounces. They retail for $89, which is pretty high for a skateboarding shoe, according to Sam. They're made in Indonesia, which is pretty unique. And the way they position this shoe is Jamie Foy's first pro model for New Balance Numeric is an update on the traditional vulcanized skate shoe for more reliable and comfort rides. If you want a pair of these, check them out via links in my description. There's 2 problems with almost every single camera neck strap on the market. One is they're just all so ugly, just generally. And then 2, they're just not very durable, putting your investment of your camera at risk every time you wear your neck strap. And so this year, I was like, I'm gonna finally design it. I'm gonna design a really simple, aesthetic looking little neck strap that still rolls in all the heritage good qualities, like the heavy duty leather, the hand sewing, everything that we've baked into every single one of our products at Rose Anvil. Can we apply that to a simple neck strap? That's what we attempted to do with the slim neck strap. So we use belt thickness leather, 1/2-inch strap, hand sewn details down here, solid brass hardware, removable neck strap. And because we use such solid brass and we use this hard leather, it's about as durable as these giant camera harnesses because we use all the same techniques and we use all the same materials, but apply it to a small, lightweight neck strap and a wrist strap. So you get all the durability and resilience of hand sewing, really thick leather and solid brass, but you get all the beautiful aging and patina and and the long-lasting aesthetic of high-quality leather that only gets better with time. It gets more comfortable with time, it gets more beautiful with time. It becomes very unique and distinct to you and how you use your product. And so if you want a camera strap that actually looks good, it's gonna be durable, and it just looks better and gets more comfortable with age, check out the slim camera straps below, and thanks to Anvil for sponsoring this video. So now I'll start going through the materials, starting with the leather, which is vital for skateboarding shoes because you know, skateboarding is, you're literally just running your foot along grip tape, which is sandpaper. You know, it's like putting your foot on a sanding wheel and just hoping that your shoe lasts. And so because of that, brands usually try to choose materials really meticulously and choose wisely in thicknesses and types of materials to try to make the shoe last as long as possible, or at least last longer than the outsole. And honestly, I think this upper is pretty brilliant, and I think people are kind of sleeping on it, or maybe just people in the regular sneaker community are, and skaters get it because it's Sam's favorite shoe, because it seems like this is really, really well thought out and really intentional in just the patterning alone. Because in all the high wear spots, they use suede right here at the toe and right here at the heel, where you're gonna get the vast majority of wear from the grip tape. But there's some downsides to suede, like it overly stretches, like we saw in the last video with the last resorts. You know, it was too stretchy. You couldn't even tie them down tight because of how much that suede stretched. But Sam said these shoes did not stretch nearly as much as he expected. So we cut into there to see if maybe we just missed the grain or missed something. And to my surprise, this suede is backed by rubber. So it just stretches a lot less than regular suedes. And number two, it adds one more layer of protection to wear through before your shoes are completely toast. And that's backed up by the puncture test. It took 116 pounds to puncture through, which, like I said, is better than half the boots that we've reviewed. They also minimize the amount of seams that they have in those high wear areas, because regardless how strong the material is, if they're sewn together and that seam breaks and they separate, it might as well have been worn through. And so the fact that it's fairly seamless through here is really, really smart. And this gap right here is probably my favorite part of this entire shoe, because these gaps are actually fully functional. They allow the leather to bend and kind of take up a little bit of room instead of needing to crumple up the leather, because it's almost like a pre-built-in crumple zone. And these reliefs are in all the important pivot points, like right here at the toe, right here at the instep, and up here as well. And maybe more importantly, it makes these shoes more breathable, because if you're out there skating and your feet are all hot and sweaty, and you have these big old, at least the big skating shoes from when I was a kid, they're too hot. This actually gives you some breathability, as you can see from the breathability test. And so it kind of solved two problems in one, which I really, really like. But the shoe is not without its flaws, because this white leather, I burned it, and it's not leather, it's fake leather. All the white leather on this shoe is all fake leather. And even this black leather is fake leather. And so, you know, it makes sense. They need to be affordable because you're gonna wear them out, and it is like fake leather is lighter, it's more affordable, and in these spots you don't need a lot of abrasion resistance that you get from leather. So I hate it, but it makes sense. I just wish it was leather. So New Balance, I'll design a leather sneaker for you. But what about the lining? You can see that strip of red and black underneath there. Like, you can almost barely call it a lining, because over top of it you can see this mesh that's a lot stronger. It's more structured. It feels like a screen from your windows. And then around the ankle, you just got a pretty traditional lining, just like a half lining, and it's padded a little bit. It's just a typical fabric for sneakers.
So the shoe's biggest selling point, besides like the affiliation with Jamie Foy and the pro skateboarders, is that there's this visible rubber layer under the suede for added durability. I have skated this shoe more than any other shoe since it came out. I've wondered about this the entire time, because I've kicked through the suede, I've kicked through the whole shoe, and it's like, I don't know if it actually adds any durability or if it's even there. I've never actually taken it apart. We dissected the whole thing off to really see how far it actually goes. And what's really interesting is that the colored part that you see is only right there, and then it transfers to a different white part right here. It feels a little stiffer, so we took a measurement, and the colored part is 0.6 millimeters, and the white bit that actually goes around the toes is 0.5 millimeters. So it's good that there's actually a double layer. We see it all the time in shoes where companies fake double layers. I don't know if it actually does anything. Like, I've kicked through it a few times, and I think it will give you like at least a couple extra hours. So you're like, oh snap, I kicked through the suede, I better go shoe glue it before I kick through the rubber. That's kind of how I've dealt with it. I do think it adds some stiffness, which I like. Some people like the floppiness, like of the last resorts, how it's just like super floppy. So moving on to one of the most important parts of any shoe, any skate shoe, is the insole. What we saw from the last resort video is that insoles play a huge part in most skate shoes, because it's most of the time is where all of your cushionings come from. So in this insole, it's just like a closed cell foam textile topped removable insole. It's nothing crazy. They call it the New Balance Absorb Foam, which is crazy marketing jargon. It says it's a mix of foam and rubber. It's proprietary to New Balance. It feels really dense. It feels almost denser than the last resorts and a lot of the other ones. I measured the Shore, and it comes in around like 20 to 25 Shore, so it's pretty soft, but it feels way more dense than it actually measures. So we put it on the ball drop test and it bounces up 11 inches. The last resorts, to give it some comparability, they came in at 12.2 inches. So like when the ball hits it, this one like deadens it, and it, I guess, will add a little more cushion. It's within an inch of garage science. So one interesting thing I like about this is that the heel measures in at 8 millimeters thick and the toe measures in at 4 millimeters thick. But I really like this because you'll feel like more cushion, like if you're doing hard drops, like if you're landing, you're gonna feel a little more there, but you're definitely gonna feel more board feel where it's thinner on the toes. If you look under the insole, it's like some sort of non-woven lasting material in there. It's a little more substantial than the Last Resorts, but the Last Resorts was just like a piece of fabric and you could feel all the columns. But what is the construction and outsole setup? Because that's one of the more important things. It's either cup sole or vulcanized. You usually skate one or the other and don't really transfer over. Cup sole is when you have like a separate cup sole unit and you can just like attach it to the bottom, either glue it or sometimes it's sewn, probably not in skate shoes, it's probably not sewn. Vulcanized is when you put like this little strip of rubber onto the bottom and then you wrap a piece of rubber around and then they go throw it in an oven and it bakes together and all fuses into one piece. So cup soles will be longer lasting, harder rubber, but a lot less board feel. Vulcanized are going to be softer, grippier rubber, more board feel, but much faster wearing. Allegedly, I have heard from New Balance that anything numbered 0 to 399 is vulcanized and everything 400 plus is a cup sole. So this is a 306 and it is vulcanized. So this one is just like a herringbone tractor pattern. It's nothing crazy. It's in most like skate shoes. Like I think the Nike Blazers also have a herringbone pattern. What I don't like is some stuff can get stuck in these little tiny grooves from the herringbone. What I do like about this outsole is that it feels almost like a semi-cup sole. Like the heel feels stiffer and thicker than the toes. So we took the durometer of the actual outsole. It's 55 Shore A. It's pretty average for a sneaker. The Last Resort was around 60 and the Jordan 4 SB, which was around like 75, which is really hard and felt really slippery. So like this is a little softer though, so you're definitely gonna get a little more grip. Put it on the bar drop test. It bounced up 5 inches, so it's pretty low. It's not gonna like give you much rebound. There's just not much in here, so it's just kind of like hitting off of nothing. And then we got the puncture test on it, which is 89.5 pounds, so it's pretty average. It's just like a rubber outsole. My biggest issue with this shoe is that because it's so soft, you blow through the outsole so fast. It probably wears out faster than any other vulcanized shoe I've skated, and I'll always go through the same spot. I'll always go through the toe first, and like where it's vulcanized right there, you'll start to split and your toes will start popping through. So this one thing, I'm gonna add a ranking system to this, a board feel rank. 1 being tons and 10 being none. So like the Last Resorts, they're a 1. There's so much board feel, there's too much board feel. The Jordan 4 SBs that we reviewed, they're a 10. There's no board feel at all. So these I'd rank like a 2.5. So that's kind of how to give you some context of where the board feel is at on this.
Okay, now we've seen everything from the outside. Let's cut these things in half, see what's on the inside. Why is it Sam's favorite skateboarding shoe? And is there any other layers on the inside that we're not aware of? Okay, we got them cut in half and fully dissected, just so you can see all the different layers, where they connect and how it's all structured. And if you're not subscribed, consider doing it. And support Sam's videos. These are really cool. It seems like people are really liking them. He's just got so much more relevant information to put into these videos that I don't, because I don't skate. So support him. Subscribe to this, give him a nice comment, give his video a like. So let's see what's inside.
So you see on the inside, you got your foam insole, then this lasting layer is actually, it's like a non-woven material on top of like rubber. So it's like a little rubber strip, which is definitely gonna give it more structure. The columned outsole, actually, it does look thicker on the heel than it does the toe. So we took a measurement. The part of the heel, rubber right here, comes in at 5 millimeters and the toe comes in at 3.5 millimeters. So that's definitely why you feel way more board feel on your toe than your heel. It's crazy that like 1.5 millimeters can actually make that much of a difference, but I definitely feel it. So like my whole takeaway, my whole skate analysis on this. Honestly, from a materials standpoint, it's not anything crazy. Like, it's pretty expensive for what it is. It's just like the pro models are going to be a little more expensive because they either have royalties on top of it or they're paying the skater to promote the shoe pretty much. So a pro model is just going to be more expensive than a non-pro model. I do like how they do the rubber. That's actually the whole strip under. I mean, even if it's just placebo effect, it's good to see that it's actually something. It's not just like a tiny piece right here and then nothing. So it's good to see they're not actually cutting corners here. But honestly, I love skating these shoes so much. I have not found a shoe that skates similar to this one ever. Like, I'll always have one of these on deck because I know it's just like, it's my go-to. It's my warm, cozy blanket of a shoe. It's really nice and light and low profile. I really like the insole. It doesn't feel like you're jumping in sand because sometimes insoles are too cushiony, but they, you know, they have their cons as well. The cons, they are expensive. I mean, they're $90. They are the pro model. It is super stiff for a vulcanized shoe. Like, some people really don't like that. That's a lot of the complaints, is that it's too stiff, which I actually kind of like. They're definitely not super durable. It's like my biggest pet peeve is that I will just blow through these outsoles. In the summer, if I'm skating every single day and the weather's nice, I can go through an outsole in 3 weeks. $90, so that's, you know, you're spending $200 minimum on skate shoes just through the summer months. And at the end of the day, they're still like a big corporation. They're not like skater owned. They're still doing it in a fairly organic way. And the Numeric team is run by skaters and former pros. And it does seem like they're dipping into that big well of technology and like research that New Balance already has. So take that for what's worth. Some people are more adamant about that than others. And if I had to rank all the shoes that we've reviewed so far, Jordan 4 SB is the very bottom. It's the very, very, very bottom because it sucks to skate in and is super duper expensive. I put Last Resorts above Jordan 4 and then New Balance 306 at the top because it's like my favorite shoe ever.
So my final thoughts is I like the shoe. I think it's pretty killer. I'm willing to excuse the fake leather because it's still $90. And I think really if they did a super premium version of this, I'd be all over it. I think this is such a cool concept with the thicker leather, the vent parts with where it also flexes. And I just like how slim and sleek it is. It's a good looking shoe. So overall, I think this sneaker's killer. I think they've killed it. So let me know what you guys think and your opinion of these. If you owned a pair, let me know what other skateboarding sneakers you want us to compare and contrast and what tests you want us to run so you have relevant information for skateboarding shoes. And thank you guys for supporting these videos and everything you do with subscribing, with our handmade leather goods we make right here in the shop, with the collaborations that we do. Maybe we'll convince New Balance to collaborate on a full leather version of this. Who knows, maybe one day. So thank you guys, see you.